Hey there, my name is Sam Optenboss. I'm owner of Sam's Cookie Company. And out of necessity and with the help of my hubby, we created a Fusion 360 add-in to make the process of creating a cookie cutter a fun experience for me and all of you. What we're going to talk about today is Bella Pro. This is intended for cookie cutter shops that need to create cookie cutters fast. It's far less repetitive to have to offset individual layers. And now we have even more versatility on the cross-section design with our latest upgrade. So I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change our document settings right here on this drop down from millimeters to inches. So you're going to go ahead and click on the notepad, go over to the right and see where it says millimeter. We're going to use that drop down and we are going to select inch and you're going to hit OK. Here we have a hand that I sketched previously. You can tell that it is a completely closed entity. As I sort of hover over, it kind of solidifies itself, if you will. So all you need is one profile. And just to tell you about the sketch, if you need to know how to sketch in Fusion 360, we have many tutorials on YouTube, as well as on my website at samscookiecompany.com, where you can see those tutorials and you can see exactly how to sketch. I sketch this hand using lines, splines, arches, but basically it's a 2D closed line sketch. It's an outline. So even though you can keep multiple profiles in this same sketch, we are recommending that each profile or each sketch is kept completely separately. It's going to make your process faster and very organized. So I just wanted to kind of mention that before we go ahead. So once again, we've got our hand here. It is one 2D outline that is completely closed. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our cookie cutter. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my sketch, and then I'm going to hit Sam's Cookie Cutter Bella Pro, our little sprinkle guy. You know he's pro because he has a belt. This was my husband's idea. I guess professionals wear belts. I think that's very old school. I guess that's going to tell you about the age difference between my husband and I. But yeah, so I'm going to click. And then on the right, you're going to see this dialog box come up. This is the Sam's Cookie Cutter Maker Bella Pro dialog box. First thing you need to know is that our add-in is good for PC and Mac, which is pretty awesome. So on this dialog box, you've got two tabs here. The first one is General, so it's showing that your cookie cutter profile is selected, so it's solid blue. The second thing is mirror profile. So if I was dealing with words of any kind, you want to make sure that you mirror that profile. That way, when you're using your cookie cutter, your words are not going to be backwards. And then you've got cutter width and height. It's really awesome that this is here. You can quickly change that if you need to. And then the last thing is launch 3D print. So what I want to make sure that you know about that is if I wanted to add words or anything to my cookie cutter after it's being made by Bella Pro, I'm going to uncheck launch 3D print because I don't want it to launch 3D print right away. I actually want to manually change that, maybe add some words to my cookie cutter. Maybe I want to put my company name on there. Maybe I want to say that this is a floral plaque or something. That's really helpful when people are trying to figure out which cookie cutter they want to use. They need to know which one is which. So it's great to label those things afterward. The other tab that you see here is called cross section. Here you're going to be able to change a number of different things. So you've got 100% flexibility and customizability here. We wanted to make sure that each cookie cutter shop could make their signature profile. So you've got different widths that you can change here, and you can also change cookie cutter depth on this. So depth, a lot of times, we would consider the height of the actual cookie cutter. So as you can see, there are a number of different parameters that you can change here to make your signature cookie cutter. Okay, so let's go through these parameters one by one so you really understand what we're doing here. But first and foremost, I want to make sure that you understand if you like Bella, just Bella in general, or even our very first Bella Pro, the parameters that are auto-populated here are exactly like the Bella cookie cutter handle. So if you like that, you can just leave this here and hit OK, and you're going to have that really pretty robust Bella handle. The other thing is we can change any of these things. So I want to make sure that you understand right here we've got written cookie cutter depth and cookie cutter handle width. So all of these different dimensions that you see here, W1, W2, R1, W3, and R, all of those are additive. So as you start adjusting each of these different parameters, it's going to add that number together and tell you that overall number over here. So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that, especially if you're trying to get to a specific number. I think that's really going to help you. So here we have first W1, which is our edge width. We've got that set at 1 millimeter. And here's how you can change it. So you just take the slider all the way down. It goes from 0.6 millimeters all the way to 2 millimeters. And I'm just going to set it back at 1 to make things simple. Here we have W2, which is right here. That's kind of like our second wall. That is set right now at 1 millimeter. It goes from 0 millimeters all the way to 3 millimeters. So you could kind of get rid of it if you wanted to. So I'm going to set that back to 1 millimeter as well. It's very simple to do. And if we keep scrolling down, we've got here W3, which is the handle width. We've got it right now at 2 millimeters. That's W3, which is right here. It's 2 millimeters right now. It can go from 0 millimeters, so we can get rid of that also, all the way to 8 millimeters. And I'm going to put it back at 2 where it was, just to make things simple. Then we've got all of our depths. We've got D1, which is our edge depth. So that's kind of our cutting edge right there. This is where, let's say that you're trying to make a cookie cutter for someone that makes a really thick cookie dough. That's where you're going to want to make that taller. I leave mine at 6 millimeters. That works for me. I'm also going to be selling some cookie cutters on Etsy, and I'm going to leave them at that. But you can make that whatever you want. Right now, it is at 6, but you can change that to 1 millimeter all the way to 6 millimeters. The next dimension is D2. So that is the wall depth. D2 is right here. It's kind of our second little quadrant. Right now, we have it at 9 millimeters. It can go from 0 millimeters, so we can get rid of it, or all the way to 20 millimeters. So I'm going to put it back at 9 millimeters. Then we've got D3, which is our handle depth. So that's right here. It's kind of at the bottom of our little cross section that you see here. So D3 right now is at 0 millimeters. It can go from 0 all the way to 8 millimeters. And I'm going to put it back at 0 because that's how I like Bella. And so just take a look at this. If I were to put that at 0 and make Bella, Bella is going to go from fillet to fillet. There's not going to be a height difference there. So I want to make sure that you understand that. You can get rid of it just like we do in Bella. The other thing that's kind of neat is we've got R1, which is a neck fillet. So on regular Bella, we don't have a neck fillet. It wasn't something that I wanted when we first created it. But then we thought, well, maybe cookie cutter shops might want to simplify theirs and create a little bit of a fillet right there on that neck. So that's R1. But as I mentioned, Bella doesn't have it. So my regular Bella cookie cutter handle doesn't have it. So that's why we leave it at 0. But it can go from 0 all the way to 5 millimeters. But I'm going to make it 0 again, just so you see. Then you've got R2, which is our top fillet. That's this guy right here. You can make it whatever you need. It is at 4 millimeters right now. It goes from 0 to 5. So I'm going to make it 4 again, just so I can make Bella. Then I've got R3, which is that bottom fillet. It's right here. You can just barely see it. Right now it's at 4 millimeters. So for Bella, we usually make R2 and R3 the same, but you can do whatever you want. If you want to, like I said, make it a signature look for your shop, you can do whatever you want. It's 4 right now, but it can be adjusted from 0 all the way to 5. And I'm going to make it 4 one more time. And then that's it. We've kind of gone through all of the different parameters that you can change here, which is awesome. Oh, and it looks like I adjusted this. I'm going to adjust it right back to 1. There we go. And it looks like I've selected everything I need to select. Very important. So this is a hand, and you can see that there's a thumb there. I don't really need to mirror this guy, so I don't need to go back to that general tab at all. I'm happy with everything, and you've got a left hand and a right hand. So really for me, when I'm using this cookie cutter, I'm going to basically use it, and I'm going to flip it one way or the other. I'm not going to make a left-handed cookie cutter and a right-handed cookie cutter. That would be weird. But you can do that if you really want to. You can totally do that. So now as I've selected everything, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so here's our cookie cutter. It looks rather large. It's not really. It's about 3 inches, but as you can see, here it is. It's so adorable. I really love it. You can kind of spin it around. It's so cute. I'm sorry, I'm just so in love with Bella. I'll stop, I promise. But so adorable. There is our hand. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make even more adjustments if you wanted to change things up a little bit. So let's take a look. One quick thing that I want to show you is you might notice that I start to toggle to sort of take a look at this cookie cutter in different areas. And how I'm doing that is I'm holding down the shift button on my keyboard, and then I'm actually holding down the wheel on my mouse, and then I'm just sort of moving it around so you can kind of toggle it to see what you need to see. But again, let's just go ahead and go forward with another cookie cutter. So I'm going to put this in isometric view, which is this little house right here. And then we're going to change a few different parameters. So the great thing about Bella, Bella Pro, even Sprinkle, is that you can sketch one time and then keep reusing that sketch, which is awesome. So first thing we need to do is, so sketch 1 is what we need to get to. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and turn off the body. So body 1, sketch 1, they're kind of the same thing. So I'm going to use this little drop down. I'm going to turn off my cookie cutter, which it says body 5. I'm going to turn him off. And then I'm going to turn on sketch 1. And there he is. I'm going to actually use the top view so you can see it a little bit better. That is our sketch 1. So we can go through that exact same process one more time and change these different parameters. So I'm going to select the hand. It's a closed 2D sketch, as we spoke about before. I'm going to use my little professional gingerbread man with the belt. I'm going to click him. Here is our Sam's Cookie Cutter Maker Bella Pro. I'm going to change those parameters to what I need. And then here's the cross section. So let's go through this and make the changes that we want to make. So neck fillet. I kind of mentioned before that when we originally created Bella that I didn't want one because I didn't think that I needed it, but a lot of people add these to their cookie cutters. So we did a neck fillet of 1 millimeter, and then I'm going to change the handle depth to 2 millimeters, and then I'm going to change the top fillet to 2 millimeters and the bottom fillet to, let's just say, 2.5 millimeters. And I think this is a really good example because you can see the top fillet is going to be a little bit smaller than our bottom fillet. So now that we have these different parameters changed, oh, one more thing. Let's go ahead and change the wall width. I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to get rid of it altogether because maybe I want a little bit faster print. Maybe I don't need all of that stuff there. And then I'm going to change my wall edge width to 0.8 millimeters. So now we've changed a number of different things here, and I'm just going to hit OK. And let's go back. Ooh, that's pretty big. And see, he looks a little bit different, but still looks really good. And you know, those changes are so subtle and different. But there you can see, there's that little bitty neck fillet that we did. It kind of sharpens it up. It looks nice. And then we have our top fillet, and then we've got our our depth, and then we've got our bottom fillet. And see, those are ever so slightly different. It's just so subtle, you can barely even tell the difference. So there you go. This is a little bit faster print, I think, than the Bella that we made a little earlier. But there you go. Oh, and one more thing I want to point out before we take a look at our original. There's only one wall here. There's only one wall. So that's kind of nice. You know, it's going to be a really clean cut. It's not going to really matter how thick anybody's dough is. It's just going to cut it. And you know, the thing that I'm going to say is that you're going to want to test all of the different cutters that you make, especially if you're selling, to make sure that the wall depth, height, width, all of these different parameters that you're changing is really going to work and make a robust cookie cutter, especially if you're selling. You know, we can give you the tools to change all of these things, but it's really your responsibility to come up with the right recipe for making cookie cutters that you want to sell and put your name on. You really don't want somebody getting upset because maybe the wall was too thin or anything like that. So just wanted to kind of point that out. One wall, really beautiful cookie cutter. You can change all of those different parameters. So let's go ahead and turn off body 6. That was our last cookie cutter. And let's go back and turn on our very first one. So this is Bella again, and you can just sort of tell it's definitely a much more robust cookie cutter. But you know, areas like here, you know, you might get a little bit of dough stuck in there, but honestly, it happens with almost every cookie cutter that you buy. So really exciting. You've got a couple of different options here. We've got Bella Pro, which is kind of our original that we came out with. And then the other one is just kind of the ultimate customizable cookie cutter parameters that you can change to make it your own. So super excited about both of these cookie cutters made with the exact same product. Okay, so last thing I'm going to show you, let's go ahead and go to Tools, and then we're going to go to this thing called Section Analysis. Go ahead and click on that, and then you're going to click on Front. And here you can sort of see the inner workings of the cookie cutter that you just built. It's going to show you all of those details that we changed. There you can see your little neck, your different fillets for the top and the bottom, the fact that it only has one cutter wall. It's kind of neat to sort of check this out after the fact. And then here is that original one that we made. This is Bella. You can just sort of see this is a much more robust cookie cutter. And you know, last thing I'll say about the two different cookie cutters that we made. Generally, when I'm talking to people about what they're going to use for what, I usually say I use Bella for any of those legacy cookie cutters that I want to keep forever. Maybe it's a hand that I think I'm going to be able to use throughout my life of decorating cookies. I think I'm going to use it for a number of different things. So I use Bella. But if it's maybe, I don't know, a cookie cutter that I want to make that's an oyster that I highly doubt I'm only going to use it once or twice, maybe I change those parameters to what we created, the second cookie cutter that we created, where it's a much more simple profile, and you know, I want it to print fast, and so maybe I print my oyster cookie cutter with this super quick print fast profile. So maybe you want to do that too. Maybe you want to sell some lesser expensive cookie cutters and they have a more simple profile, and maybe you want to sell some cookie cutters that might be a higher end, more robust profile. Okay, so the last thing that we have left to do here is go ahead and 3D print. I'm just going back to our dialog box again. This is the little area where I have the checkbox. It says Launch 3D Print. If I would have checked it, it would have just brought up Cura and all of that. But because I'm doing it after the fact, I'm just going to use the File drop down over here, and I'm going to select 3D Print. Both of those items are exactly the same thing. They do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and select my cookie cutter, and then I'm going to hit OK, and it's basically going to bring up Cura, and then we're going to go ahead and slice it and throw it in the printer, and you're going to be done. But I hope that you guys are realizing that this is going to make your life so much more simple. I don't know about you, but when I first started making cookie cutters, I was like, holy cow, there has got to be a better way. And quite frankly, this is the better way. So I just use the normal Cura settings here. So I use standard. I haven't had any issues with it. I use Solitech PLA filament. We haven't had any issues with it. I use my printing temperature at 205 and my build plate at 60. But other than that, I leave everything the same and then I just slice it. And this is the second cookie cutter that we made. It says 3 hours and 4 minutes. So we could change these parameters and make that shorter, whatever you need. And here I'm just sort of showing you how it's going to build that cookie cutter. But there you have it. We're pretty much done. We're going to save this to a file. Let's just call this, I don't know, hand. There you go. I'm going to save it and then I'm going to put it on my little SD card and throw it in my printer. But thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I hope that you are excited about this upgrade. We were super excited about it. We tried to think of everything, and be on the lookout for more tutorials. We are excited about it. If you need to know how to do something in Fusion 360, maybe we need to know how to do it too, and we can do another tutorial. We are always looking for more material. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your support. Have a great day.